NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook preview show. We're looking at the DraftKings 8-game main slate. If you play over on FanDuel, you got 11 games. DraftKings cut off the 9:30 and the 2:10 p.m. games here. But this should be a pretty fun slate. We have a lot of injury news, unfortunately, here for the start of the NBA season. This is game number 3 or 4 for a lot of these teams. We have teams on back-to-backs. We have teams running it back with each other here. So 8 games. Grande will be on your playbook. Should be a fun one. We got the 7-day free trial going on. You see that QR code up there on the screen, and you see the scroll down at the bottom. If you want to go check out Grande's playbook for this Wednesday main slate, you can do it for free, scanning that QR code or going to fantasyalarm.com/win. If you use promo code Let's Go when you do sign up, that first month after your free trial will be less than $20. So you can check all that good stuff out. And then, of course, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page. It's a free way to support the work we do here. It really helps the channel when you do so. So we certainly appreciate all of those of you who listen every day. And we welcome those who are new to listening to us as well. We break down each game. We go position by position. And at the end of the show, we build a lineup. James, how we doing, man?
We are doing well. We're just I just finished chiseling out the last member of the Warriors Mount Rushmore. I did, Curry, Clay, Monta Ellis, and Lindy Waters was my Mount Rushmore that I just finished chiseling. So doing well. Yankees in 7. Looking forward to the rest of the show.
Yeah, if you play on FanDuel, you'll get to play some Lindy Waters there. 21-7 for Lindy right now as the Warriors hold a 9-point lead over the Pelicans with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Big surprise, shocker there. CJ McCollum no-showed this game. Ingram had 30 actuals. Zion over 30 points, but that was about it.
And counting. And counting. 30 and counting.
30 and counting, yeah.
Right.
So, but he healed 5 threes. Podzinski 19. Kuminga's got 17. Lindy Waters has 21. Like we said, we got still 5 minutes to go in that game. But we're talking about this 8-game slate. Let's start it off, right? We know Atlanta, they're going to be dealing with a lot of injuries. A lot of guys already ruled out. No Dyson Daniels, no Bogdan Bogdanovic, obviously. There's DeAndre Hunter is questionable for this. No Vic Krejci. We just saw Atlanta, Washington play one another. Trae Young is your top price point guard on the slate. He struggled. 2 for 15 shooting, 2 for 10. Still managed 47 fantasy points because of the near triple-double. I would anticipate a better shooting night for Trae Young in this matchup, and that one has the highest game total on the board as well. LaMelo Ball home against Toronto, $9,600. John Morant, $93. Maxey, $92. Your top 4 priced guards on this slate. Memphis, big home favorites, 12.5 points home favorites to Brooklyn, who's on the second leg of a back-to-back without Nick Claxton in that one. Obviously, Philly, still no Joel Embiid, no Paul George.
Yeah, so I'm a little iffy on Ja, even if he plays. This is a front leg of a back-to-back for them, and we've seen how they've handled their rotation so far. They're playing a lot of guys still, and that was the plan from head coach Taylor Jenkins. We're going to play a bunch of players for the first 6 games in 9 days, and then we'll see from there. And Ja is obviously dealing with this thigh, so I think he's out for me, regardless of him playing or not. I'd be good going back to Trae Young. You brought it up. I mean, he scored 47 fantasy points in a game. He went 2 for 15 and 2 for 10 from 3. I mean, that's just Trae is a different player this year than I think in years past, because when he stunk, he can defer to DeJounte Murray. He doesn't have DeJounte Murray anymore. Yes, he still can defer to Jalen Johnson, but Jalen Johnson's not as established as DeJounte as like an on-ball scorer or ball handler for that matter. So even when Trae's not scoring, he can make his impact be felt. Assists and had 8 rebounds for the second time in 3 games. So I love Trae at 99. I'm not afraid to go back to the well. Same thing can be said for LaMelo Ball. Definitely will be going back to the well of LaMelo. we have seen the issues with LaMelo Ball over the last couple games. 5 and 6 fouls, that is LaMelo Ball in a nutshell.
10
5
turnovers.
and 10 turnovers is LaMelo Ball. But like everything else has been like the shot volume, elite. The minutes when he's been out of foul trouble, elite. 3-point volume, elite. Peripheral stats, elite. So yeah, if you want to get to LaMelo Ball against the beat up Toronto team, by all means do it. And not gonna put it past Tyrese Maxey to simply play. I know this was an overtime game against Indiana,
Yeah.
but that's 43 minutes in regulation right there. 45 actual points for Tyrese Maxey. And he's now taken 30 shots into a
Yeah.
free. I, that is a lot of shots to I can't ignore that. So Maxey's definitely in my player pool. I think anyone over 9K other than Morant is an option for me.
I mean, the minutes for Max are insane. Obviously, again, the overtime game against the Pacers, 48 minutes at 41 and 39, the 2 games prior. Like
Insane.
not coming off the floor here for Maxey. So good spots for them there. Cade, $8,700 again. Dude, we talked about it, right? Like no one played him against Miami because it's Miami and it's slow pace and all these things, and it did not matter. He played 35 minutes. He filled the stat sheet. He had 48 fantasy points. He's now cheaper than he was in that game. He's gone for at least 43 in all 4 games. He has a high of 52. Philadelphia, as we've seen, they're losing games. They're not blowing anybody really out, and they're playing some high scoring games as well. Cade at 87 is looking pretty damn good to me.
Dude, we're getting the full package. He's checking every box, taking and making threes, taking a lot of shots, playing a lot of minutes, stuffing the stat sheet. I got nothing bad to say. And you mentioned it, his price went down $300 after a third 48 fantasy point game in 4 games.
Yeah, I don't get the drop in price tag there. Brunson's 86, Donovan Mitchell 85, Halliburton bounced back last game. Don't think that's going to happen here against Boston. $8,300. We'll see what happens with Emmanuel quickly. Doubtful, probably not going to play in that one. Jordan Poole, someone that you were high on last game out. 9 of 17 shooting, hit 6 threes. The 3-point ball has been looking like the Jordan Poole of Golden State days here. 40 fantasy points there. No Dyson Daniels now, like their best defensive guard for Atlanta. This feels like a really good spot to go back to Jordan Poole.
Dude, and no Kuzma on his own team. I mean, there is green light city for Jordan Poole in this spot. So, yeah, I mean, I think Halliburton. Truthfully, I'm okay with getting to Halliburton if you think that game can stay competitive, because the only way you stay competitive with Boston is if you're making threes. And Indiana can make a lot of threes, and Halliburton can make a lot of threes. So, like, I'm okay getting to Tyrese Halliburton. 8,300 is a pretty good price for a guy we saw at like 9,500 for half a season. So, I'm good on Halliburton 83. I'm very good on Jordan Poole. I think that's an excellent spot too. And then we drop into the next tier.
Yeah, for sure. Tier down, and this is where I think it gets a little like not really that interested for me. You can always play Derek White. I think we again found that out against Milwaukee, where we talked about, I mean, consistent as consistent can be. 34, 34, 33, 38 fantasy points. He knocks down his threes. He takes a bunch of them. He gives you a little bit of everything here. $6,900 for Derek White, I think is great for cash game play.
Yes.
What are your thoughts sort of in the rest of the 6K range though?
Kind of indifferent about like Hero Rozier. If you get to him in tournaments, you can. Same thing goes for Giddey. Giddey had a great game against Orlando or against Memphis. Key component as to why they came back. But still the minutes for Giddey are not great. Just 28 minutes in a game that he almost doubled in, but indifferent there. I think Austin Reeves is very interesting if D'Angelo Russell sits. Reeves is listed questionable or probable, where D'Angelo Russell is listed questionable. If Russell sits, I mean, Reeves is just full bore operator of the offense, him and LeBron. So Austin Reeves, 31 fantasy point floor through 4 games, twice he's gone over 40.
Mhm.
Just clearly thriving in this new offense. And this isn't something that I didn't expect because we had talked about their change in how they're going to run their offense, and Reeves was going to be more on the ball and stuff. And he's been great. So if there's no D'Lo, very interested in Austin Reeves. Definitely Jaden Ivey is interesting with the minutes and the shots and the fantasy points. He's been super solid.
Mhm.
And then look, Scottie Pippen didn't start. Like if there's no John Morant, Scottie didn't start. It didn't matter. He went for 40. He had another double-double. He played 31 minutes.
Mhm.
If there's no John Morant, this is the perfect Scottie Pippen game. No? I mean,
Yeah.
first leg of a back-to-back where your coach is talking about like playing a lot of guys. You don't have your star. The second leg of a back-to-back for Memphis is the Bucks. So obviously, more likely that if Ja doesn't play on Wednesday, he plays Thursday. And you just run Scottie Pippen out there, be like, hey, dude, like you've been great. You've earned this. And, we're gonna just keep riding this wave. Back-to-back 40 fantasy point games, back-to-back double doubles. He's super good with the stocks as well.
Yeah.
So he would
Everybody
be,
pivoted to him the other day too. He was like 48% rostered after the John news came out. So
yeah, even after he didn't start either.
yeah.
Like, and between Pippen and Schroeder at 5,900, like you may not need to go up any higher at point guard, just like given what these two guys have provided lately. Now,
Yeah.
I understand Ben Simmons is coming back, and obviously, he handles the ball a lot, but like back-to-back monster performances for Dennis Schroeder, 28 points and 14 assists
Yeah.
on the
Overtime game there against the
in the
Nuggets.
overtime game.
Listen, Jalen Suggs against Chicago here. Again, I know Orlando is at times we avoid them because they played a slow pace, but back-to-back games now, big minutes for Jalen Suggs, 45 and 47. Knocked down 6 threes and 5 threes now back-to-back games, 13 3 attempts in each of those games. Dude, 5,500. I mean, I guess would we just be worried about like a blowout here or something? Like, why wouldn't we just lock in Jalen Suggs in this
Agreed.
matchup here?
I agree. No, I think this is an amazing spot. Look, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
Might get some slack for it, okay?
Okay.
If Jalen Suggs is this good, like over the course of a season, Orlando's the second best team in the East.
Okay.
X factor, complete X factor, because we know he's going to be first or second team defense.
Yeah.
We know how good they are as kind of like a 1 and 2 option to begin with. Between Franz and Paolo.
Yeah.
If Jalen Suggs can be this good offensively, they're the second best team in the East.
Makes you wonder why the hell he played 13 and 22 minutes the first
Yeah,
game.
it was weird. It was so weird because that's just like not. I mean, he is just their best perimeter defender. He is just super good and always willing to shoot threes, and he is good at like other stuff. He's just kind of like the dirty work guy, right? But we talk about Chicago. They are first in pace. So the Orlando Magic are currently listed 15th. I mean, this is a big pace up spot for Orlando.
And Chicago has guys that can score. So this turns
Correct.
into like an arms race, like Levine and White and Vucevic can. You get the Vuk revenge game here. We got Wendell Carter revenge game. We'll talk about that. He doesn't forget.
No, he does not.
He does not forget the Chicago Bulls trading him. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Marcus Smart in that game played 25 minutes. The old 0 for 11 for our guy Marcus Smart. 0 for 8. They're still 24 fantasy points on an 0 for 11 night. 2 blocks, 2 steals, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Marcus Smart always with the green light. Probably not going to go there though. Davion, I mean, they continue to be down players. Davion, 35 minutes, had a pretty decent offensive game for what we've had out of Davion Mitchell over the last handful of years when he's been put in these situations before. But Sacramento, better team, I guess, than what we got out of Toronto right now. So Davion more freedom to shoot at 5K.
I mean, their starting lineup tomorrow, John, is going to be Barrett, Pirtle, Dick, Mitchell, Agbaji. Someone other than RJ Barrett in that lineup has to score. So maybe it's going to be Davion, right? Maybe. So
What do
I'm
we do with
not.
fast PP here? Guy came off the bench and knocked down 8 threes.
Do you see this whole Doc Rivers thing where he was like told his team, he circled, apparently before the game, he circled Peyton Pritchard's name?
Yeah.
Like that guy.
Lillard gave the post game. They're like, hey, like, what do you think about Pritchard? And he's like, we had the meeting before the game. We said, do not let him get off the bench and get into a rhythm because he can impact the game. And now Pritchard, Oregon kid, like went to high school in Oregon, went to University of Oregon. Obviously, Dame playing in Portland for all those years. Dame's like, I've known about Peyton since he was in high school. So like, like he kind of knew what he was capable of. I mean, I don't know. I understand. I'm a Celtics fan, right? So like, I feel a certain way about my team. Right. Are they levels ahead of every other team in the league? If Peyton Pritchard's coming off the bench and knocking down 8, you can't beat that.
Like Joe Mazzulla is talking about fighting, bringing back fighting and
did you hear the
power plays? And I mean, what are we doing? That's where we like. I understand he's like a certain level of psychotic that like people aren't, but like you have to be really bored, not bored, but like just know how much better you are than everyone else. I mean, they won 60 games last year. They blew everyone out. They won a lot of games. They barely lost any games in the playoffs. Yeah, the answer is yes. They are that much better than everyone. They're not even playing with Porzingis.
Yeah, Milwaukee had him like early on in the ropes, and I messaged you. I'm like, Peyton Pritchard just came in the game and knocked down 3 straight threes, and then he hit he ends up tying the Celtics record for bench 3-pointers at 8. He was only a handful off the NBA record. Was it like 14 or something like that? I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to go on and on, but we were not interested in Peyton Pritchard at 4,800 against Milwaukee. He's now 5K. Sam Hauser is expected to play in this game. I don't know if that changes anything for you at all, but do you have to start playing Peyton Pritchard at 5K if he's going to just come off the bench and shoot 50, 60% from 3 while taking 10 plus threes?
I mean, like, I guess like while Porzingis is out, there's a better chance of this happening, right? Where he just gets hot and then they're just like, well, we can just
ride him.
I mean, we don't. Yeah. Like again, I said it last game and I was clearly wrong. I didn't think Peyton Pritchard would just come off the bench again and just make 5 threes. I'm not saying he can't. Obviously, I understand that he is like very good at it.
Yeah.
But it's the like sustainability of it night in, night out, where I'm like, man, I have to pay 5K in a close competitive game against Detroit. He played 19 minutes. I'm not saying he didn't pay it off, but on a big slate, 19 minutes is a tough thing for me to know that that's like the range of outcome.
I agree.
So I know what you're saying, and if you are playing, I would say if you're interested, like in like seriously playing Peyton Pritchard, it's like if you're a multi-entry player.
Yeah.
If you're a single entry player, I am, because that's what you and I are. Right. I am less inclined to get to Peyton Pritchard at $5,000 on a bigger slate like this. Like if it was a 5-game slate, 6, 4, I mean, for sure he's like.
I think not having Sam Hauser available allowed Pritchard to play a little bit more in that game because they did obviously have a shortened rotation of wing players. But I don't know if they're also I mean, that was just he's had some impressive runs here these last couple of games. Other value guards kind of working our way down here. The Anthony Black era kind of comes to an end when Jalen Suggs is playing 35 minutes the way he is. McBride's 44, Bub Carrington 41, didn't start the second half of that game. Any of these value guards interested for you?
Yeah, man, I think there's a couple So I think there's a couple of things at play. Nembhard played 33 minutes, was really good in that game. I think that this is a game that Indiana could stay competitive in if they make a bunch of shots, and Indiana has a bunch of guys that can make shots. So I like 4,400 for a guy playing 30 minutes. Um, it is worth noting Anthony Black did play 31 minutes in that game. I understand Franz Wagner was sick, and clearly, it hindered him in the first half, and then he didn't play in the second half. So I get it, but at least Anthony Black did play the 31 minutes. He did hit a big shot at the end of that game as well. Keep an eye on Josh Hart. Miles McBride played 29 minutes in that Cleveland game, in a game that Josh Hart played in. But Josh Hart, once again, I think he left that game, and he's also once again listed on the injury report. No, 38 minutes. Yeah, he did get hurt in that game. He suffered a leg contusion in that game.
Yeah.
So if there's no Josh Hart, McBride again he played 29 minutes and he was super productive. Dude, he played 29 minutes in a game that Josh Hart played 38. He is just the sixth man. And I don't know how many sixth man of the year bets Miles McBride had coming into the year, but again, another guy who's very much like this is the price I wish Peyton Pritchard was. Right? I wish Peyton Pritchard was $4,400 going into every slate, but he's not, and Miles McBride is. So
play McBride. Tougher matchup obviously for McBride against Miami there, but the minutes are good. Anything else for you down here?
No.
Okay. Shooting guard. Donnie Mitch, 85 against the Lakers. Jaylen Brown was the one that did it against Milwaukee. It was not a Jason Tatum day. He's 84. Desmond Bane had a big day without Ja at 79. We mentioned Poole already. Thomas needed the overtime to really hit value there. I had a pretty sluggish front end of this back-to-back, 74. Levine and Kobe White have both been really good. So that's your 7K up grouping. How would you prioritize?
So I think I would typically be yes to Desmond Bane right away. That would be my first play. I'm a little unsure how Memphis is going to handle the back-to-back with minutes. He did play 29 minutes in the front leg of a back-to-back in their first back-to-back. So if there's no Ja 7,900 shooting guard small forward, Desmond Bane feels way too cheap when you factor in Jaren Jackson's limitations, and he did play 31 minutes, so that is really good. He also was the most extended star in the preseason for Memphis, right? So he played a lot of minutes. So would love Bane. We talked about Jordan Poole. On Cam Thomas. He's a bucket if you want to play him in tournaments, sure. Dude, Zach LaVine is just the dude for Chicago offensively right now. I mean, he has just been so good. He looks so good off the ball. He had a lot of dunks off Josh Giddey passes. Josh Giddey is a perfect pairing for LaVine. Just the way that Zach LaVine moves off the ball, because he's not someone who needs to play with the ball. He's very good off the ball. So love LaVine 7,300. Love the eligibility, the production. Kobe White, terrible first half in that game. Great second half in that game. Perfectly fine at 7,000 in tournaments. That should be a fun game. I know Orlando is a good defensive team, but the Bulls have also been a really good offensive team. So,
and they benefit from being home, hopefully.
Yeah, it's not like an overly crazy spread. And Orlando's 7th in defensive rating. That's obviously scary, but the Bulls have 4 really good offensive players that can make it difficult for the Magic.
Yeah, agreed. Working our way down, we mentioned Derek White already at $6,900. Talked to Ivy. Schroeder, a lot of retreads, obviously, with the dual positional eligibility. I will highlight that at one point yesterday, I showed you that 48% of the field was playing Bilal Coulibaly, who had 2 fantasy points. I was like, haha, suckers. And then in the second half, he went nutty and he finished with 27 fantasy points, paid off the price tag. Running it back, are you willing to go to Bilal Coulibaly, who's now had all 3 games, 25 or more fantasy points. He had 23 actual in the blowout loss to Cleveland. Had a really good second half against Atlanta. There's talent in this kid somewhere. It's one of the reasons he's drafted where he was. $5,200 for Bilal Coulibaly.
They thought they had us in the first half, John.
We did have him in the first half, and then they got us.
Second. Yeah, I mean, 5,200, all the minutes he can handle. I think the shot volume the last 2 games has been great. The free throws have been great, huh? Bilal Coulibaly taking a bunch of free throws to start in 2 of the 3 games. So love that. And they're down Kuzma. They're going to ask him to take a lot more shots. So Coulibaly 52, Grady Dick 52. I think both those guys are interesting. Trey Mann at 5K, a little Peyton Pritchardish, but
Yeah.
I feel slightly better about Mann's minutes, like just given there's no Brandon Miller in this spot.
He's clearly the most offensively gifted player they have of their replacement options for Brandon Miller. So I think that's going to always kind of give him a bit of an edge, plus the willingness to shoot. But we knew about this when he was with OKC too. We were just kind of waiting for the man night. So I like that at 5K. That works for me. Mentioned already, there's some guys. Davion Pritchard's down here. What's Kispert been up to? 35 minutes in that game.
So I was going to ask you this. Do you think Kispert's your starter with Kuzma out? Like, what do you think? Because they have not figured out a rotation. They started Valanciunas last game. Then he didn't start the second half. I mean, they obviously are starting somebody.
I feel like it would make the most sense for it to be
Kispert. I mean, they started Carrington obviously the year. So would you go back to Carrington? Keyshawn George. George is someone who's played a bunch of minutes.
The rookie who's not been good for them either. 5 fouls in those 2 games quickly. I can see Kispert. He's at least the most established player.
They paid him. He got paid before the preseason or before the regular season started.
Could be a Patrick Baldwin Jr. day.
No, never a Patrick Baldwin Jr. day.
We say that, but then sometimes,
I know.
No, I agree. I think Kispert can start. It's not a bad shout.
If he starts, I mean, 4,900. A lot of the field's going to go to Coulibaly, especially they went to him the other day, and now there's no Kuzma, so could be a good pivot here.
We know we can shoot. We've seen some big Kispert days in our days there. We talked about Toronto, somebody having to score. Agbaji's actually been pretty good. We always thought of him more of a defensive first player, but when you're kind of thrusted into the need to be offensive, right? 6 of 12, 8 of 12, 5 of 9. They don't have Scotty Barnes anymore now. Like
he'll start. I assume he'll start this game. Because he played 29 minutes off the bench in that Denver game. That was 29 off the bench. He's the only one that really played.
So I think Agbaji, as unexciting as he's been in the past, needs to be given a real look. We talked McBride already. Anything else down there for you? Seth Curry?
No, I'm a little skeptical with Josh Green back and probably going to be extended. But I mean,
they started Curry even when Green was there, right?
He'd have to start for it even to cross my mind, I think.
Okay, because obviously when on a larger slate, you guys under 4K do need they stand out a little bit. So that's probably all we got here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Matthews, if everybody's out again, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good shout. That's a good shout because everyone is out.
3,300, 24 minutes.
I mean, everyone is literally out.
Yeah.
I mean, if if DeAndre Hunter sits, he's questionable with a legit injury, knee inflammation. They will be down.
Might start anyways without Daniels.
Matthews may start because he spaces. So that's a very good call. 3,300. I mean, if they could just run a monster lineup if they really wanted to, where they're just playing Ricochet, and Johnson at the 3, Okongwu at the 4. now Larry. You can dust off Larry Nance and he'll be productive as your
Sure.
backup big. Like they have like options to run to do like a funny big lineup. David Roddy was great off the bench. Like they obviously have options. So we'll see. Thankfully,
Yeah.
we'll know ahead of time. It's a 7 p.m. one of the 7 p.m. games, so we'll know. But that was a really good shot on the Garrison.
Sure. Well, you have obviously Zaire Williams. He played 20. What did he get? Like 18
Dude,
minutes tonight.
he was great.
Yeah.
He had a great game.
Not
You had
no
nailed that one.
no Claxton, right? Like now, kind of like officially out for this game. So, yeah, I did give him a shout. I didn't end up getting him in my lineups. We'll talk about. Make sure you hit your submit when you're building lineups, so your placeholder doesn't get going there. 22 minutes for him, 18 points tonight.
Yep.
For Zaire, he's $3,200. Feels like an absolute trap, right? He plays all these minutes. He has 18 actual. He's 3,200 on a back-to-back, and like doesn't end up playing. But I think there's some
Doesn't end up playing. I mean,
yeah. He
he's
didn't play the last time he played 35 minutes. So
yeah, that's true.
All right, small forward Tatum still under 10K against Indiana. Again, they had like Brooke Lopez defending Jason Tatum at times in that game. He just had a hell of a time. He still came out of it with 36 fantasy points, but it was just not the JT game we've seen out of him so far this season. You got LeBron back in Cleveland. There's always that narrative. They'll have Bronny with them as well. So
yeah, that's a big deal.
Does Bronny score his first points in Cleveland?
That would be pretty cool.
All right.
With D'Lo randomly popping up on the injury report, is Bronny just suddenly? Now I don't even know. Is he still on the team or did he get sent to the G League?
Did they do the G League thing yet?
I mean, it looks like he'll be on the G League, but also, if D'Lo doesn't play, I mean, he's on the express right back to
after the
Cleveland.
upcoming road trip. He'll be on the G League.
Okay, so he's on the road trip then.
He's on the road trip in Cleveland. So
interesting.
Might have a little LeBron in Cleveland moment here. As I mentioned, Jaylen Brown was the one that did all the damage here. He's also been very good. And we found out today, Netflix is following him around this season. It was Jason Tatum last season. It is Jaylen Brown for all of the offseason turmoil for the Netflix documentary. The snub of the Olympic team going to be well documented. That's going to have all the eyes here. After, a quote unquote, like average opening night, 50, 48, and 41 fantasy points for Jaylen Brown. Again, if you want to play Jaylen Brown 84, go for it. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you.
Question. Yeah. Do they follow these starting five athletes everywhere they go?
I would imagine they have camera crews with them for some.
Because James Harden's one of the five.
I know, I saw that.
Everywhere. I'm just asking everywhere. That was just.
Imagine being the guy that draws that sign. So what is it? I don't know. I haven't slept yet, and I've been to like 9,000 strip clubs. I can't handle it. I can't handle what's going on. Listen, kudos to you. You've been preaching Jimmy buckets. I played him against Detroit on the underdog. Had the little snake drafts. Took some Jimmy Butler.
3-point steals there too. So that was a good one.
54 and 46 fantasy points for back-to-back games for buckets. 37 and 34 minutes.
28 free throws over the last two games.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Knicks now here. I don't mind it at 78. Do you think he can keep it going here?
Dude, I think there is just a different vibe about the Heat. And I think there was a lot of that talk from Pat Riley himself, like, yo, Jimmy's not getting extended because Jimmy needs to be on the floor. Like, we've done all this stuff the last few years where Jimmy's not playing during the regular season. Well, Jimmy needs to play in the regular season. And so far, Jimmy playing in the regular season is a good thing because he's looked really good. So I don't love the spot. This is obviously OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges split the assignment, but sometimes again it's overstated, it's overblown, and Darius Garland scored 30-something against the Knicks the other night. So yeah, I think Jimmy's perfectly fine. The only problem is like if there's no Ja, would we play Bane or Butler? Bane obviously has better eligibility.
Yeah.
Levine's cheaper, better eligibility. Franz is not sick in an elite matchup against the Bulls.
What a troll, right? Franz, questionable
Yeah.
all day. Starting, plays a half because he was too sick
Yep.
to be playing, man.
Yep.
Like what are
And
we
then
doing there?
and then I think like one of my lock and load plays of the day just
Has to be RJ Barrett.
dude, it's RJ Barrett and I was looking at some lineup stuff before. It's like 29 minutes out of the gate is pretty good. Dude, he had 3 fouls in a 4-minute span in I think it was the second half, his first second half stint. And then immediately checked in and had picked up his 4th. It's like, all right. So what was RJ Barrett actually going to play? Because he
35.
played 29 minutes in his debut, but it feels like I'm just looking at it again. So he checked in, John, to start the second quarter, played 3 minutes and had 3 fouls in the second quarter. Did not play another minute in the first half because, he had then 3 shifts in the second half. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. He was trending like 31, 32. So if Barrett's going to get to 33, 34, 35, 6,600 against Charlotte, literally team to himself, he is just
He
per
took 21
dollar.
shots. He took 21 shots in 29 minutes.
Per
He
dollar
might,
teams, yeah.
right? Like, and
Elite play.
that was with Scotty Barnes active.
With
Like,
Scotty Barnes. And Scotty Barnes got hurt in the last minute of the game.
Russell
So
Wilson took him out, got the
got the win.
got the code red, and went and took out Scotty Barnes. So
yep.
Scotty Barnes, face of the league, can't get foul calls. You got
RJ Barrett actually complaining about fouls after that game.
Yeah. Oubre has been pretty good. I mean, again, it's difficult, with the way that Maxi's been playing for like everybody to eat, but the minutes have been really good for these guys in Philadelphia. So if you want to get in that spot at 64, I think you can. Cam Johnson knocked down a bunch of threes today. He's $5,600. Josh, I don't shoot Hart. Has been really good. 41 and 39 fantasy points, double. 20 and 10, 16 and 13. Yeah, I don't shoot my, you might know, what. If he's in, I'll play some Josh Hart, man. Like, why not? This is the same dude he was last year. Even with Karl Anthony Towns, like he's still out there just balling.
And last year when he was doing that, he was like $7,500.
Yeah,
he's 6,100.
Yeah.
I mean,
he suckered us in with the whole like, I don't know my role. I don't know if I'm going to shoot. Dude, you're fine. And they're covering all the wing guys. They're like, oh, don't let Bridges and Anunoby shoot threes. And Josh Hart is out there just cleaning. So
he did. He baited us pretty bad.
He did. So you got that going on. If you want Hart at 61, certainly can. We talk Grady Dick again. Grady Dick's gonna take a lot of shots.
Yep.
In this game, they don't just need know Scotty Barnes. They need offensive players. Fantasy wise, he's been pretty good for the price. 25 at 52 is 5x, 32 at 52 is 6.5. So value certainly been there. Got Caleb Martin again playing a whole lot of minutes, 37, 34, 37. Philly's just we know this though, right? Like Nick Nurse plays his guys, plays them a whole lot of minutes. So $5,100 for him, way too cheap.
Yep.
On this slate. So some really good cheap small forwards here.
Yeah, like all the guys you mentioned. I'll throw in, and I don't know how I feel about Cam Johnson on a back-to-back. We've talked about this for a few years, how like fragile he is.
Yeah,
like 40 minutes in the overtime game on the Tuesday slate, but he had a really good game again. Had 40 fantasy points. So
knocked down 6 threes in that game.
Yeah, and we know that's what he can do. So if you want to get to Cam Johnson, fine play. Same thing with Rui. If there's no D'Lo, even more to like about Rui. He's been super consistent. He does not want to lose his job to Vanderbilt when he comes back. So he has staked his claim. And then you drop below 5K. I know Richeche was terrible in that game. I understand he was terrible. He is a rookie with like a very young kid. But like even in a game where he goes 1 for 8 from the floor, just like managing to find your way, to, like clawing your way to like 4x return because he's very tall and very lengthy, and blocks and steals are going to be something that he's able to do. Dude, they're very shorthanded. Even if Hunter plays, they're very shorthanded.
Yeah.
So I
I
could
don't think
see.
anybody goes there either because of the
Well, I
game
guess that
bad.
depends, right? If Hunter plays or if Hunter doesn't play, you don't think he'd be popular?
I don't know. We talk recency bias a lot,
I
right?
know, but they are, but also they are even more shorthanded than they were the other day. At least
I think it depends who else is in the starting lineup. Because if they go a
right.
Roddy or if they go get a Matthews who are sub 4K, I could see Ricochet getting being the lower shorter stick there
Good,
of ownership.
good.
Anybody else down here for you?
Um, you mentioned Roddy. If Roddy were to play,
Yeah.
maybe if Keyshawn George started, I'd consider him at 3,400.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Okay. Power forward. Again, Tatum's up here. Banchero had just an all-world day. I mean, guy
Oh
was the
boy,
number one overall pick. We should not forget that. 50,
yes.
13, and 9. He's already got a 58 fantasy point game on his ledger this season. So
He's dude. I'm telling you, they
can
are
he
a
win most improved player while already being an all-star? Like, what's the criteria for most improved player? Because if he goes out this year and averages like 30, 10, and 6, like
you should be able to win like MVP and most improved. Like if he averaged like what you just said, like let's say he just like competed for an MVP, he should win most improved. No, like if he was literally just like, yeah, I'm top 3 MVP candidate. Like, could
yeah.
he? I mean, why wouldn't he win most improved in that case?
Can we talk about let's talk about what his numbers have been and then look at his free throws. He's
Yeah, it's
not
absurd.
hitting his free throws. He's
Absurd.
15 for 22. He missed 7 free throws on a day he had 50. He missed 6 free throws and then he missed 5 free throws the game before that. If the guy could just be better than a 60% free throw shooter this season over the last couple of games, these numbers would be ridiculous. But to the free throw point, what do we always talk about with guys? We want to see them taking free throws because it just creates another avenue of their ability to score. Russell Westbrook and James Harden have never been great shooters. But
Yep.
when Harden's leading the league in free throw attempts per game every year because it's 15 a game, this just adds on to his upside here. So if you're going to tell me Paolo Banchero is going to be attacking, and getting to the free throw line 11, 12, 15 times a game, like that's just huge for what he's going to be. So, yeah, $9,100. I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't play a guy that just went for 90. So 86 fantasy
Agreed.
points. Go knock yourself out there. But we do have Jalen Johnson, who last
Was
year
a
was one of our
ticking time bomb. He
well,
was John.
and he got off to a terrible start to this game. He was like the first like quarter and a half. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna goose egg us here. Then he turned it on 29, 12, and 7 in that game here. The rebounds have been there all season. The shot hadn't been. Shot found itself against Washington. No, they sell Alex Sarr and a bunch of rookies and a bunch of bad defenders out there. Like, I don't see a reason why Jalen Johnson wouldn't really, outside of Trey making more shots, I guess, would take away from Jalen Johnson. But 7,900, basically the same price tag. I'm going right back here.
Yeah, and they're shorthanded, so the minutes are great, the shots are great, everything's up and up for Jalen Johnson.
Yep. Mobley had himself an okay day, not the ceiling we've seen out of him. Didn't really have any of the defensive steals. He had the blocks,
The minutes, but we saw a competitive game, 36 minutes.
36
That's
minutes.
what we were waiting for.
Triple J played 25 minutes in that game, was really good, but can't really count on that consistency. Got Toby Revenge first time back in Philly.
He's getting booed. He's gonna get booed so hard.
I don't think they got a montage package for him.
No, I don't. I mean, the organization might. The fans are gonna boo the crap out of that guy.
Yeah,
for no reason. Very solid player, but he's gonna get booed out of the gym. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to believe he's gonna have a big game.
I do too. Also, unfortunate that Capella is one of the for him that Capella is still around.
Yeah.
But that's just going to be the one thing that you know.
Horford had a decent game. If Miles Turner doesn't play, that could be pretty interesting.
Dude, so
Martin.
Santi Aldama also started in that game. I don't know if you saw. So they didn't start Pippen,
Right.
and they just moved Smart to point guard and put Aldama back in the starting lineup. If there's no Morant, and you're telling me that Santi Aldama is going to keep starting, dude, I'm gonna play him because he has almost gone for 40 in 3 of the 4 starts that he's made, and he just looks totally different in every facet of his game. He looks better. So, if there's no Ja and Aldama is starting, I would have a lot of interest in him at 54.
Sure. I mean, we know what he can be. Obviously, he popped opening night, big letdown spot against Houston after that, but he's been really good in the 2 games prior. It's all about minutes, right? If these guys can get minutes, we can go there. Jovic started but wasn't very good.
Speaking of minutes,
Yeah.
32 or
14?
30 to 14 minutes.
Yep.
Jaime Jaquez played 32 minutes off the bench.
Yep. Sometimes just better matchups, right? They match up a little bit better, and we'll see what happens there. Don't really have interest in either of those guys, though. I mean, I talked about Wagner. He did get 16 minutes in that game and was what we wanted him to be, but it seems like even when guys are out, that's just kind of where he's just locked into the spot. Right?
Yeah, we're just never getting more time.
We're not going to get 20. I thought for a second we might have gotten some because there's some early foul trouble there, but nope, didn't happen. Got Yabusele at 4K. Anything else down here for you? Nance, if everybody's back.
No, I don't. We don't even know what Nance's role is going to be. Maybe they do move Okongwu to the center or back to power forward, but
we'll sure. What about Clowney? He played 16 minutes tonight, did nothing. But no Claxton. So
I mean, I assume he played 21 minutes the other day. I assume somewhere between 16 and 21 minutes, probably.
Yeah, he started. He picked up 2 fouls and you know what? Maybe not. Maybe not tonight. maybe not. Maybe not for you. Then we got Toronto guys down here. He only played 14 minutes in that game.
Yeah, no.
But would he start for Scotty Barnes?
No, Agbaji.
Okay, Agbaji would. All right, center. Anthony Davis is 10-2. He's been quite good.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
He's been quite good. This, in theory, would be a tough spot, having to deal with Mobley and Allen, but Anthony Davis been good. Towns and Vuk are there, 82-78. Big price drop after that. Do you have Andre Drummond revenge game from 10 years ago? 7K for him against Detroit. 37 minutes was, got the minutes finally out of him.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to get the minutes for Drummond. 17 rebounds. I'm shocked he didn't have 20, but he's very good, a very good stocks guy, very good rebounder, and obviously, if he scores one more point right there, you're almost you basically have a 40 bomb. So
he's also been one foul away from fouling out of every single game.
He also has been one foul, but you know what? He hasn't, so it doesn't matter.
This is your plugin.
That was where I was going.
Go ahead, expand on it.
Well, we've just been talking about it in general, even when it was Scotty Barnes. They are just going. There's no Olynyk. They don't have front court help, and Charlotte is a spot that we can take advantage of. So, when you get these Pirtle scoring games, he's going to score you 40 points. Now, I don't expect Jakob Pirtle to play 40 minutes every night, but I think there's easy path to 30, 32, 33. And he's really good on the glass. He's very good at blocking shots. And again, 2 of the last 3, he's given you double-digit scoring. No Scotty Barnes. I mean, it's as good a Jakob Pirtle spot as it's going to get.
Is he the highest roster center tomorrow?
Probably. I mean, Nick Richards, for no reason, is back 4,800 coming off back-to-back 30-minute, 30-plus fantasy point games. why is that the case? So I guess it depends on the way your roster is constructed. I mean, you save $1,500 going from Pirtle to Nick Richards.
Yeah.
And Richards has gone double 30 plus minutes. I just don't understand that. So I would say
The minutes are definitely nice to see.
yeah, we haven't seen that out of Nick Richards, right? They're just but we also have had Steve Clifford rotating centers like it's like it's moldy, like they're moldy bread. Just
They
like
don't really have a backup center, right? Like that's sort of their deal right now. So
yeah, well they're playing Musa Diabate as their
yeah,
backup center, and like I think Charles Lee probably looked at that like let's make sure Nick Richards gets on the floor as much as he possibly can. And he's been super productive when doing so. So if you're going to see that, and they're going to cut out these Grant Williams center minutes as well, because Grant played 29 against Atlanta, then only played 19 in the Miami game. If that's going to like be limited to 19-20, then all systems go for Nick Richards to play 30 minutes again, and all systems go for Nick Richards to be in our lineups as well.
you crapped on me. You wanted to play Dorian Finney-Smith.
I did. He did.
37 minutes. He had 17, 5, 4, 1, and 1 while going 1 for 7 from 3 there. 6 of 11 from the free throw line. 4,200, big game, obviously, in overtime. Would you give him a look here against Memphis?
I mean, no.
Okay.
No, look, I salute to you on that call. I agree. It was a great call. It ended up like, if you didn't have that game, you were cooked.
Yeah.
Right? If you didn't have Jokic, if you didn't have Schroeder, if your baseline lineup just didn't start Schroeder, Jokic, you were cooked. That was the start that you needed. And then if you didn't have 3 to 4 nets, you were cooked because Cam Johnson was popular and Finney-Smith was in the winning lineup. So yeah, I mean, if you want to play Brooklyn, they're cheap, and for what it's worth, like it is, they obviously played a lot of minutes. Memphis is second in pace.
Sure.
Memphis is also 23rd in defensive rating. So because they're playing all these guys, they're losing games that they probably shouldn't, because Jaren Jackson's not on the floor as much as he should, and Desmond Bane isn't on the floor for as much as he should be. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to play Finney-Smith, that's perfectly fine.
We see Zach Edey's questionable. Would we get some increased Jay Huff run?
Oh, Jay Huff's just living in the best life right now. No, Jay Huff got a 4-year standard contract. He's just going to be on the Grizzlies for the next 4 years. Probably, but like
4K.
But like, we're gonna see Jaren Jackson eventually get extended. We're gonna see Brandon Clark continue to get extended, and then so yeah, I think Huff would be fine if he doesn't play for sure.
Sure. All right, let's get a build then. Would you rather go Richards or Pirtle?
I think Richards for the savings, but
okay. There you go, Barrett. Obviously here at small forward. Yeah. 66. Do we go back and go Trae Young, or do you prefer? I mean, this is a slate on DraftKings at least where you don't really have that 11K, 12K play. So,
I mean, I'm also good if the scenario, because I thought the same thing last slate, and just play Jalen Johnson, and then we can instead of Trae.
Okay.
But I'd also be good with playing Trae. I'm not saying that because of recency bias either. I played Jalen Johnson for 4 straight slates. I play Jalen Johnson. So
for sure. We had some other value guys down here that we were looking at. Obviously Schroeder is 59. Suggs, point guard.
Yes. It's an elite spot. Elite spot. You have a gong, huh? Impressive.
Did I just make a noise? Yeah. What's my
That's your Jalen Suggs gong, and that's how you know when you're letting your neighborhood know you're about to win some money.
Pretty much. Let's see if you want to bench guys. McBride's obviously 44.
I mean, Toronto and Washington are obviously two teams that are shorthanded. So
Yeah, Philly plays their guys a whole lot of minutes.
Philly
So
plays a bunch of minutes. Yep.
Caleb Martin against Detroit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is Barrett shooting guard eligible?
No, he's just small forward.
I wish it would just automatically put in there. All right, so that's 67 a play. Which one did you say? Toronto?
I mean, Toronto and Toronto, Atlanta, Washington are three. Like Garrison Matthews is $3,300. If we wanted like true value dumpster dive type play,
Probably play Jordan Poole here then at shooting guard.
yeah, I like Jordan Poole a lot. We're gonna be super fair and balanced here.
Well, it kind of lends to a fair and balanced slate. We could get a 9. You could probably fit another cheap or another.
It's Garrison Matthews. If you wanted to like spend up on something, you play Matthews at guard for $3,300, and then you have
$300 gets
like
us
Maxi.
Yeah, Maxi
or Paolo.
Back to Paolo. I mean, like, is it chasing to go back to Banchero?
I mean, he has 250 bombs. Obviously, he was great. Obviously, he benefited from Franz being sick. But Franz wasn't sick in the first game, and Paolo went for 50. So, like Franz has been also super great through 3 games. So if we wanted to not play Matthews and do like just super fair and balanced and still play like Wagner and something like that, or whatever. But
yeah, but you do see Butler 78. It's a $4,800 guard.
$100 Kispert.
Agbaji. Yeah, we're a one-off Kispert. That's true.
I mean, I don't hate Toronto just because of how shorthanded they are, and it's a great matchup. So I don't hate the Agbaji thing, and
there's obviously Levine here if you didn't want to go against Orlando. I wish one of these guys had like. Yeah, see, what's our util? Util.
Well, I don't even really worry about the like late night hammer stuff either, because the late night hammer is 8 p.m.
Yeah, what's the 8:00 game is Brooklyn, Memphis, and Orlando, Chicago. So you'd be getting some of that.
Suggs. We have Suggs if we wanted to like move around our roster.
I mean, I'm fine. I think Matthews is going to play. So like, what was Roddy's price? Roddy was 35 and Nance was 39. So like they're all pretty cheap. But if we just did Matthews, who should be playing minutes anyways.
He played minutes. Yeah, he played minutes last game, and they're now down more wings and guards.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good going Banchero here. All right, Suggs, Poole, Barrett, Johnson, Richards, Matthews, Martin, and Banchero. Get a couple $100 left over if you wanted to play Cade Cunningham or Tyrese Maxey. You certainly can do that and jumble it all around. James and I will be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern time to get you all ready for this main slate. Grande will be on the playbook as well. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Free way to support what we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. And, of course, we have the 7-day free trial. So if you're tuning in now and want to check out today's playbook, scan that QR code, sign up for the free trial, and get access to the playbook today. James and I will be back again, 5 p.m. Eastern time, everybody. We'll talk to you then.